be chairing today's meeting of Cabinet. Agenda item 2 is Chair's announcement. So can I just welcome members of the public or press who may be viewing this meeting this afternoon. Can I ask you to please ensure that your microphones are switched off? You are here to observe the meeting only. Members and officers, please ensure that your phones are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting and that your microphones are switched to mute unless you are speaking. In addition, when asked to raise your hand, if members who are virtually attending the meeting could raise your electronic hand, and for members physically present, just raise your hand here in the chamber. Officers, can I also please ensure you verbally add any additional comments from scrutiny committees if this has not already been included in the reports this afternoon. Moving on to agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Can I just ask members, are there any declarations of interest that you would like to declare? Please would members say what the items are and what the interest is. And if there are any, Nadine will forward you an electronic version of the form for you to complete and email back to her. So far, are there any? Councillor Noyle, please.
Thank you, Steve. On items 17, urgent items A and B, I'll be leaving the room for those 2 items, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Anybody else? I don't see any. Okay, then, if I move on to agenda item 4, which are the minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes of the previous meetings are on pages 5 to 12 of your agenda pack. The minutes are here for approval of accuracy of the 15th of January 2025. Can I ask members if they have any comments on their accuracies? Don't see any, so I'm happy to propose that they're a true record. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you are content with the accuracy of those minutes.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm the minutes of the 15th of January have been approved.
Thank you, Nadine. Agenda item 5 is the Forward Work Programme for 24-25. The Forward Work Programme is on pages 13 to 18 and is here for noting. Taking you on to agenda item 6, which is public question time. I received no notification from the public to speak at today's meeting. So if I move on to agenda item 7, which is the Social Services Director's Annual Report. The report is on pages 19 to 90 and is here for a decision. Can I ask Andrew Jarrett now to introduce the report, please, Andrew?
Yes, thank you, Leader. So this is the Director's Annual Report, as you said, for April 2023 to March 2024. So it's a look back. And it's my assessment on the effectiveness of social services, but I've included the whole directorate. So it also includes Housing and Community Safety Leader for that year. The report is very positive in large parts. It demonstrates the support that the directorate has had from the council in terms of ongoing financial support for those most vulnerable people in our communities. The report outlines accomplishments and areas for improvement, including the way that we work with people to shape services, the way that we protect and promote health and well-being, the way that we implement our safeguarding activity around children, adults at risk of abuse and neglect, how we support social participation and engagement, and how we improve economic well-being and provide suitable accommodation for those that need it. There's a number of positive highlights within the report, Leader. Notwithstanding that, a few of those are the continued reduction in the number of looked after children, the continued support that we did as a council for those people fleeing the war in Ukraine, and also taking in refugees from Afghanistan. The report also outlines, as you would expect, some of the challenges that we face due to the ongoing impact of the COVID pandemic, but also the aftermath of that pandemic. And what we've seen, you'll see in the report, is increased referrals and complexity around people's mental health, which we've had to provide services for. One of the Real challenges we had was ability of our providers to recruit the right amount of care staff, especially in care homes. We saw that during that year. And one of the challenges we had, but one thing that was dealt with very well, was the closure of the largest older people's care home in Neath Talbot, where we had to close that unit. It had 90 beds, and we had to move over 70 residents. So the report talks to that in a bit of depth. Finally, Leader, the report sets out our priorities for 2024-25, looking at the transformation programme while we continue to run high-quality services. I can confirm this report was considered by scrutiny on the 23rd of January, and scrutiny members supported the recommendation outlined in the draft report to Cabinet. This report will need to go on to Council, Leader.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for that report. Can I ask Cabinet members if they have any observations, questions in relationship to the report? Councillor Sian Harris, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think this report highlights the vast range of services that our director oversees. One item that stands out for me, and there are loads, was the most significant change stories, and the panel that was set up to look at that. We were very lucky in corporate parenting panel, and we actually had a whole session just on the most significant change stories. And I think the scope here for carrying out good practice is significant. And I'm hoping that we get to see some more of them yearly in corporate parenting panel, and possibly some of the outcomes that are learned from the panel reading the stories. So I think it's a really good report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sian. Any further comments from members? Councillor Llewellyn, please, online.
Yes, thanks very much, Leader. And just to add to what Sian said, I mean, I think that the report reflects the complexity of our social services, housing and community safety policies, services. We're often asked, quite naturally, what do we provide for our council tax? What do we provide for the other funding sources that we receive as an authority? And of course, social services and social care are among the largest spend of our departments and directorates. And that is because we are working to protect the most vulnerable in our society, making a difference in our communities, and also trying to tackle the problems of homelessness, of community safety, the concerns that people have around being safe in their own communities. That's often not a very visible service, but I think it's very valuable that we have a report such as this from the director, which helps to highlight the range of services that we're actually providing and how we're responding to the needs of communities. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Llewellyn. Any further comments from Cabinet members? Yeah, and for me, I certainly concur with Sian and Arlene on that. I mean, Andrew looked after children, as you highlighted. The challenges of the Ukrainian settlements, we were in the middle of this as a full council. The honesty of your challenges is outlined in this report, which is very pleasing to see. And for me, which stands out as well, how quickly the residents, the vulnerable residents that were moved to a safe environment. I think you and the team overall have done a superb job, and I think it sometimes needs to be taken back, and I'm speaking on behalf of the full council here. I'm sure our colleagues on the call and everybody who's a councillor in this authority recognises the work that you and your team do, and undoubtedly the challenges that lay ahead, and we're here to support you on everything that you do. So thank you very much for that report. I think it's an excellent report as well. So if I move on now then to refer members to the recommendations on page 22 of your agenda pack. I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Can I ask if there are any abstentions, please? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendation.
I see no indication to the contrary and can confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Nadine. Agenda item 8 is the Neath Talbot Accessibility Strategy for Schools 2025 to 2028. The report is on pages 91 to 124 and is here for a decision. I now ask Hayley Levy if she would like to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Diolch. As members will have been aware from reading the report, local authorities and schools have a duty to prepare accessibility strategies for children and young people with disabilities. And our accessibility strategy for 2025 to 2028 sets out key priorities in terms of action plans, and that includes participation in the curriculum, the physical environment and activities, and the delivery of information. So following consultation with children, young people, families, schools and professionals, we now request that members adopt the final version of the strategy. Thank you.
Thank you again, Hayley, for your introduction. Can I ask members, have they any questions on this report, please? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations. Sorry. Somebody? Oh, sorry, Nia, I missed you there. Thank you, Francis. Nia, over to you, please.
Thank you. Apologies, I was a little bit late putting my hand up. Yeah, it's just to support it, really. It's important that all our pupils, irrelevant of disability or ability, can access the full curriculum. And I welcome this strategy where we'll be offering further training to our staff as well and auditing our procedures as we move along. So thank you, Hayley, for all your hard work on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins.
Thank you, Nia. Any further questions from members? No? Okay, then I now refer members to the recommendations on page 96 of your agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you very much, Wyndham. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendation.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm that the recommendation's been approved.
Thank you, Nadine. And move on to agenda item 9, which is the self-assessment 2023-2024. The report is on pages 125 to 164 and is here for a decision. I now will ask Karen Furlow, would you please introduce this report? Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. If I may, I would just like to add some context to this report for Cabinet members. So the annual self-assessment in your papers today is actually our third self-assessment. It's something all local authorities in Wales are required to undertake because it's a statutory requirement in the Local Government and Elections Wales Act. So what the purpose of the assessment is to assess the extent to which we are meeting our performance requirements. So what does that actually mean? It is essentially about answering three questions. So firstly, the extent to which we are exercising our functions effectively. Secondly, the extent to which we are using our resources economically, efficiently and effectively. And thirdly, how we are ensuring our governance arrangements are effective. The guidance provided by Welsh Government was not prescriptive on the approach to be adopted by local authorities when they undertake the assessment, but we were keen from the start to adopt a process that enabled us to work with a framework, but it would also help us to demonstrate year-on-year improvements. So we have again, for the third year, utilised the LGA's Efficiency Monitoring Self-Assessment Toolkit to undertake the work. So by following the toolkit, we have worked across 8 core activity areas. They are listed on page 132 of your report and included looking at workforce, procurement and commissioning, leadership and management, and financial management. This enabled us to assess the extent to which we are exercising our functions effectively, and secondly, the extent to which we are using our resources economically, efficiently and effectively. How we undertook the assessment is outlined on page 133 of your report and included looking at lots of internal evidence, including complaints, quarterly budget reports, risk registers, internal audit reports, and we also looked at recommendations made by our regulators, along with the outcomes from various consultation and engagement events. Each of those key activities were then rated individually following the toolkit, and you can find those 8 ratings on page 138. That provided us then with an overall rating for Neath Talbot Council as mature, moving into leading, a categorisation taken from the toolkit. A description of all the different categorisations can be found on page 138 in the report in the bottom right-hand corner. To answer that third question, assessing the extent to which our governance arrangements are effective, we utilised the findings of the work we'd already undertaken to develop our annual governance statement for the same financial year, 23-24, which identified 3 areas for improvement relevant to the requirements of the self-assessment, and these have been added to the action plan contained in the appendix on pages 154 to 164. That action plan does contain some actions identified from previous self-assessments, which are ongoing due to the nature and scale of the work involved. Leader, as we have now completed 3 self-assessments, we got them under our belt, there has been a lot of learning around our approach to undertaking the assessment, and work is now underway to further refine our approach in terms of both the content and the timing, and to ensure this process is more aligned with other statutory reporting requirements. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Corinne. Such an important report, isn't it? And I would like to add to the assessment being brought to Cabinet today that the self-assessment has been presented to the Community Finance and Strategic Leadership Scrutiny Committee and the Governance and Audit Committee, who have a role under the Local Government and Elections Act Wales to review the draft self-assessment and make recommendations for changes to the conclusions. So no recommendations were made, but continued support was offered by the committee for future self-assessments. So finally, I would just like to thank officers for their contribution and honest evaluation, and ask members to consider this self-assessment and recommend approval to allow for publication and submission to the Welsh Government. So that's what I'm asking our members this afternoon of Cabinet to do. But before we go to that, can I just check that any other questions from Cabinet members who would like to ask Karen on this report, please? I don't see any. Sorry. I now refer members to the recommendations, which is on pages 127 of your agenda pack, and I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Are there any abstentions? Don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
I see no indication to the contrary, Leader, and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Nadine. Agenda item 10 is the Economic Development CRM System and Contract Renewal. The report is on pages 165 to 178 and is here for a decision. And I now ask Simon Brennan to introduce this report, please. Simon.
Thank you, Leader. As members may be aware, we've been using an evolutive client relationship management system to run our grant system for the last few years. We started using it during COVID, and it's been very successful in helping us deliver the grants and also to track and manage them and manage the outputs. What we're looking to do, having due regard to the contract procedure rules, is to make a direct award to the company to extend that for a further period at a cost of £30,000. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, Simon. Can I ask members, have they any questions for Simon? Don't see any. I now refer members to Councillor Hurley, please.
Apologies, Leader. Yeah, no, it's just it's almost a no-brainer. It helps the department so much, and it's obviously getting grants out as quickly as we can to help the businesses, and great support. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. I now refer members to the recommendation on pages 173 of your agenda pack. I'm happy to propose. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Any abstentions? Don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendation.
I see no indication to the contrary and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Nadine. Moving on to agenda item 11, the Aberavon Seafront Master Plan. This joint report is on pages 179 to 242 and is here for a decision. And I will ask jointly Chris Saunders and Simon Brennan to introduce the report, and I will assume that Chris, you will start. Is that correct?
Yes, Leader, that's correct. Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking up the screen. Simon's up there. Sorry, Chris.
As you say, it's a joint report between myself and Simon. It seeks approval for a new, or for the adoption of a new master plan for Aberavon Seafront. This piece of work was SPF funded, and after a procurement process, Roberts Limbrick were awarded the contract for the piece of work. Lots of consultation went into it, and it was very well represented, actually, and a really great engagement right the way through. I think it was over about 1,500 respondents in total. It's worth just drawing out, actually, that in those two phases of consultation, we made some changes to the proposals, particularly around the Timorfa site, which was originally in the proposals for a sort of a mixed-use scheme with housing and leisure, but now is showing as a leisure scheme, which just as one of the risks here is actually in the local development framework, local development plan as a housing scheme as things currently stand. So hoping this strategy this master plan will help influence the revised or the refreshed local development plan as going forward. Really, I suppose the next stage of this will be to sort of identify the key projects, and we hope that you're happy to adopt it today.
Thank you very much, Chris. Simon, did you want to add anything as it's a joint report?
Nothing further to add, Leader.
Thank you very much. And I now go to members for any questions, and I can see an indication from Councillor Ken Phillips. Ken, please.
Thank you, Leader. I don't want to say too much because I think the report before us speaks for itself. I would, though, like to place on record my thanks to everyone who is engaged with the process of developing this new master plan for the seafront. The officers, consultants, elected members, and in particular the public. Through the two consultation exercises conducted during the development of the plan, it came through clearly how much the public care about the seafront and want it to be developed and enhanced as a destination for residents and visitors to enjoy. It was great to see the level of engagement and enthusiasm, and to be able to listen to the views of our residents and incorporate their ideas and opinions into this strategic plan. The master plan that we have before us today gives us a framework to follow, but it is, of course, the start of a process, not the end. If we pass this plan today, it will enable us to move forward with the work of identifying individual projects and funding to enhance the seafront area, and underpinned with a coherent strategic overall plan to inform how everything should fit together to make the most of future opportunities to develop a seafront that works for everyone. The ultimate aim is to establish a high-quality, vibrant seafront offer for our visitors, our communities, and the well-being of our residents. And this conceptual master plan is a hugely important step on that road. It seeks to provide a way forward that enhances facilities while protecting our natural environment and promoting sustainable investment to help enhance our economic diversification, even as we look forward to the upcoming major projects in other sectors. The fantastic Aberavon Seafront is one of the jewels in the crown of Neath Talbot for residents and visitors alike. This master plan, I think, points the way forward for developing this important asset for people to enjoy for years to come. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you for that information, Ken, and I'm sure we all support what you said there. But can I just check if there's any further comments from members? Councillor Wyndham Griffiths, please.
Right, thanks very much, Leader. Just for a matter of interest in my part, really, in the team oversight, it's been decided now that it's going to be for leisure rather than it's now in the LDP as housing. But on the graph here, item 4 or section 4, it's still got the housing in it. It's got the housing at the back of the plan. Is that supposed to be there, or is that supposed to be a blank piece of I'll show you if like. Go on. Item 4. Team over. $204.
For those who are online, Chris is having a look at a question that the Wyndham has asked in relationship to the team oversight, that the plan is still showing housing. So Chris, over to you.
I think that was I just need to check this through, but that was the original concept that was put out with the for the original consultation, and then as you go through the document, it then shows how that's changed. So with the showing this of the adopted master plan as we go through. So that was the original concept. We went through that consultation, listened to the views, have changed that and one or two other things in response.
Thanks for that response. All right, Wyndham?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
There we are. That cleared that up. Councillor Phillips?
Yeah, I was, thank you, Leader. I was just going to say exactly what Chris has already said. Page 204 is the first draft of the concept master plan, and that was then modified after the consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, then. Are there any further indications? No, I don't see any. I'm happy to propose this agenda item this afternoon. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Are there any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendation.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you very much indeed. Agenda item 12 is the Neath Talbot event strategy for 2025 to 2035. The report is on pages 243 to 338 and is here for a decision. So I'll go back to Chris Saunders once more to introduce this report, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. A bit like the last item, actually, this is another piece of SPF funded work and seeks approval for the event strategy. You'll note from the strategy's actually got a really quite detailed action plan within the back of it as well, which is going to be quite ambitious and is going to take quite a lot of time and effort from the team. You might remember back in August 24, Cabinet agreed a new events policy, and we put together an events team, and this is that sort of next natural progression. It's that sort of that follow on. It provides that framework for the development of events and festivals across the county borough, and once again, I hope you're happy to approve it today.
Thank you very much, Chris. Can I now go to members to see if there's any questions on this report? Councillor Phillips, please.
Thank you, Leader. Again, I'll start by thanking everyone who's been involved in developing the event strategy. Events and festivals can bring a real buzz to our communities, bringing health and well-being benefits to residents, as well as providing economic benefits to local businesses. It's something that was identified in our culture and destination strategies as a real opportunity for Neath Talbot. And this strategy before us today sets out our ambition to develop and facilitate a wide-ranging programme of events over the coming years. We've already begun to create our new events team and events policy within the council so that we can help make Neath Talbot a positive and welcoming place to run events. This next piece of the jigsaw sets out a vision for what our calendar events might look like in 10 years' time and sets out the steps we need to take to help bring that ambition to fruition. Like the Seafront Master Plan we've just considered, it's a bold and ambitious plan for the coming years. And I think a clear statement of intent that we see events as an increasingly important part of our cultural and community life, as well as part of our offers to visitors. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you once more, Ken, for that information. Again, certainly concur with you. Councillor Jeremy Hurley, please.
Yeah, just a quick statement regarding the intelligent use of the SPF funding for sort of getting these projects off the ground and doing the prep so that they can go on and support the region of the borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any further comments from members? I suppose in both of these reports, and when you talk about the SPF, how hard and how effective our officers have worked into getting the funding to where they need to be, so that we can develop our strategies. So I think that's important to recognise as well. It's a team effort, and a lot that we are talking about in reports wouldn't be even here to be considered if it wasn't for the work that goes on behind the scenes. So again, many thanks to all those involved in the work that you do, certainly in the SPF particular projects. So thank you. I don't see any further indications, so I now refer members to recommendations on pages 251 and 252 of the agenda pack. I will propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Are there any abstentions? Again, I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendation.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Nadine. Agenda item 13 is the Strategic School Improvement Programme, a proposal to close the Learning Support Centre for pupils specific literacy difficulties at Cwmtawi. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I was on a different page. The Cwmtawi Community School, Forth Park Anisteru. I don't know if I pronounced that right, Kate. You can correct me after. Kania does all the time. That's in Pontardawe, Swansea. The report is on pages 339 to 420 and is here for a decision. So I'll now go over to Kate to introduce this report, please. Kate, thank you.
Diolch, Chair. So this is the second of 3 reports in the process for any school reorganisation proposal. The first report came to ask permission to consult. The consultation has now been undertaken and has closed. We had 2 responses, one from Eston stating that it would be at least likely to maintain the current provision, and one from Pontardawe Town Council, who has no comment to make. This report now is asking for permission to publish a statutory notice, which is the next step of the process before final determination. This report was considered by scrutiny on the 22nd of January. No scrutiny observations were noted, and scrutiny members supported the recommendation in the report. Diolch.
Thank you very much, Kate. I now refer this report to members for any questions or observations. I don't see any. Or Councillor Jenkins, can you be a little bit quicker by putting your hand up, please? Thank you. Over to you, Councillor Jenkins.
Yeah, it's just to reiterate really that children with additional learning needs will continue to be supported, and the specialities will be in their own community schools. So the equity will be far more apparent. So I fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Nia. Thank you very much. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 351 of your agenda pack. I'm happy to propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. So members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you very much, Nadine. Agenda item 14 is the Strategic School Improvement Programme, the proposal to close the Learning Support Centre for pupils with visual impairment at Kevin Syson Comprehensive School. This report is on pages 421 to 498 and is here for a decision. So I'll go back to Kate now to introduce this report, please. Kate.
So this is similar to the previous report. It's the second of 3 reports in the process for the reorganisation proposal. The first report came to ask permission to consult, and the consultation has been undertaken and is closed. One response was received from Eston stating that it would be at least likely to maintain current provision. This report is asking for permission to publish a statutory notice, which is the next step of the process before final determination. This report was considered by scrutiny on the 22nd of January. No scrutiny observations were noted, and scrutiny members supported the recommendation in the report. Diolch.
Diolch, Kate. Thank you very much for that report. Can I ask members if they have any questions on this report? I don't see any. I now refer members to the recommendations on pages 433 of your agenda pack. I'll happily propose this agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Are there any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you again, Nadine. Agenda item 15 is the traffic calming measure at the A474 Hale Goss, which is an order for 2024. The report is on pages 499 to 512 and is here for a decision. Can I ask David Griffiths to introduce this report, please? David?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Leader. This request has come as a result of feedback from residents and local members. The current carriageway speed there is 30 miles per hour, which formed one of the exemption as part of the original 20s consultation, predominantly because the length of the houses here fall under the length required to determine that to be a 20. So this is our other mitigation measure that we can implement. You'll see the objections from some of the residents. A lot of the residents are also obviously calling for the traffic calming measures, which are supported by the local member. So I didn't have anything further to add then, Leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Can I just go to members to see if they have any questions on this report? I don't see any indications. I now refer members to the recommendations on page 502 of your agenda pack. I'll propose the agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you once more, Wyndham. Any abstentions? No, I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume you're in favour of the recommendations.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you, Nadine. Agenda item 16 is the Fenbrook Close Aberafan, which is a prohibited order, waiting order, loading and unloading at any time. The order 2024. The report is on pages 513 to 528 and is here for a decision. So I'll go back to David Griffiths now to introduce this report. Thank you.
Again, thank you, Leader. Very briefly, this is a very narrow access into the facilities where the Bulldogs Gymnasium is located. So there's been a lot of access and egress issues, as well as emergency vehicles being blocked. We've consulted on the scheme. We've taken on board some of the comments from the residents, and we've slightly foreshortened the order that was originally planned. But the proposal that we are putting forward before members today still maintains safe access and egress to the facilities there, should members be minded to approve. So thank you, Chair.
Thanks, David. Members, have you any questions? I don't see any. Okay, I now refer members to the recommendations on page 516 of your agenda pack. I'll propose the agenda item. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Wyndham. Any abstentions? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I'll assume that you are in favour of the recommendations.
I see no indication to the contrary, Chair, and confirm that the recommendation has been approved.
Thank you again, Nadine. Agenda item 17 is urgent items. Any urgent items, whether public or exempt, at the discretion of the chairperson in pursuit to regulations 5(4) and (B) of the Statutory Instrument 2001 number 2290 as amended, I have received 2 urgent items this afternoon, which we'll now consider in private session. So access to the meetings reports is on pages 529 to 534 of your report packs. So now I need to resolve to exclude the public for the following items in pursuit of Regulations 4 in brackets 3 and 5 of the Statutory Instrument 2001 number 2290 and the relevant paragraphs of Part 4 of the Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. I will now propose that we move into private session. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, yeah.
Thank you, Wyndham. Any abstentions from members? I don't see any. Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of now moving into private session.
I see no indications, Chair. Just to check that we're going to stop the recording.